amazing crowd tonight, and we're just 4 days out, I can't believe it, from the South Carolina GOP primary, where 50 delegates are at stake in the march to the nomination. Now, former two-term South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley is poised to lose by a wide margin, but she remained defiant earlier today. We're going to hit all of this and more with the man of the hour. Joining me now, Donald J. Trump. Welcome, sir. It's always good to see you. It's been a while, been a couple of years since we've done a big event with you like this. And just in time for your appearance today, there's a new Suffolk poll out just now a few days before the big primary. And among those very likely to vote, you're up over Nikki Haley by close to a 2-to-1 margin, wow. 63 to 35. Yet today, she refused to step aside and said this.
Many of the same politicians who now publicly embrace Trump privately dread him. They know what a disaster he's been and will continue to be for our party. Some people used to say I was running because I really wanted to be vice president. I think I've pretty well settled that question.
Has she settled that question?
Well, I settled it about 3 months ago. She's not working. She's here. She's down by 30, 35 points. And everybody knows her. You're not supposed to lose your home state. Shouldn't happen anyway. And she's losing it big. I mean, really, I said bigly and bigly. She's losing it bigly, but we're gonna really do a job. I think that, as you know, when we went to Iowa, we got the biggest margin in the history of the caucus. The biggest. That's a long time.
Why do you think she's staying in the race?
I don't think she knows how to get out, actually. I really don't. She did terribly in New Hampshire. She got the only vote she got was from Democrats.
But she has a lot of money behind her. What do they think they're going to do?
Well, they're trying to hurt me because of the general election. So the Democrats are giving her money, and she's playing into the game. And I think she just can't get herself to get out. She's doing poorly in the polls. Look, if she was doing well, I'd understand it. But she's doing very poorly. She lost in record numbers in Iowa, record numbers in New Hampshire. Nevada, no name beat. No name. We had no name.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.
How you doing, Mr. President?
Hi, Kelly.
One of the many great things you did in your first term was put America first. One of the many, many great things you did. That isn't the case in the last few years, which is evident with the unnecessary billions of dollars in foreign aid we have given specifically to Ukraine. So what is going to be the solution to fix all of that spending?
Thank you very much, Kelly. Appreciate it. I like that question. I like this guy. I can tell. He's a man of common sense. I'm a man of common sense. You know, they say you're conservative, you're liberal, you're this, you're that. No, we're people of common sense. We need borders. We don't want to give foreign aid to countries that hate us. I mean, we're giving foreign aid to countries that hate us. If you look at the numbers in terms of the billions and even trillions of dollars that we give to foreign aid, and yet we don't protect our own border. We don't protect our own military. We have the greatest, you know, I knocked out ISIS. Everyone said it would take 4 years. It took me 3 months to knock out, totally decimate ISIS. We took out Soleimani. We took out al-Baghdadi. We did a job like nobody's ever done.
So you wouldn't be in favor of giving $60 billion more for Ukraine? Because they said without that money, Ukraine will definitely lose the war, which would then empower Vladimir Putin and endanger our allies.
And I guess the thing that bothers me most, it would have never happened if I were president.
Well, it did happen, so what are you going to do about it?
But it would have never happened. Putin would have never done it for 2 reasons. Number one, I said, don't do it. He would never have done it. And the other reason was oil prices were low. At $40 a barrel, it doesn't work.
What would you
At $100 a barrel, he made a fortune during this war. So what I would do is, first thing I get on the phone is with the European nations who are in for 25% of what we're in. We're in for over $200 billion. They're in for $35 billion.
It's been about $100 billion so far, but it will be $160 billion.
It's a difference of $150 billion. They've got to start paying up. You know, it affects them much more than it affects us. We have an ocean in between us. They don't have that ocean in between. They have to start paying up. And you know why they haven't paid? Because nobody asked them. Biden doesn't call. Does Biden lie awake at night, sleeping, cursing? He turns for another reason, not for the reason we're talking about. Sweating, saying, we got to get more. We've got to get them to pay up because there's $150 billion difference. I feel very bad. Remember this. You're really up against a war machine in Russia. Russia, what they do? They defeated Hitler. They defeated Napoleon. You know, they're a war machine. They're a much bigger country. Orban, who I think is a fantastic guy. A lot of people don't like him because he's a little bit on the tough side. He is the prime minister of Hungary. And he said, and he came out very strongly, they asked him, what's going on? The whole world is collapsing. He said, if the United States elects Donald Trump, it'll all end. Everybody was afraid of Donald Trump. It'll all end. And I believe that's good.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.
All bleed the same red blood of patriots.
Everybody's been win.
I will never, ever let you down.
I continue to believe Mr. Trump will not be president.
President-elect of the United States, Donald Jones.
It was the escalator ride that changed history. When Donald Trump began his journey from TV star to president. In this documentary, we'll retrace Donald Trump's rise to the presidency as it happened.
What would you want your Secret Service code name to be?
Humble.
7 News Australia's team of reporters were there every step of the way.
In the United States, Angela Cox,
Emma Dallimore,
Mike A. Moore, 7 News. He turned nasty. He changed politics forever. There were no niceties.
You've called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals. Your Twitter account...
Only Rosie O'Donnell.
No, it wasn't.
he didn't get an Emmy for his TV program 3 years in a row, and he started tweeting that the Emmys were rigged.
Should have gotten it. What did the Pope say? I like the Pope. I mean, was it good or bad? Because if it's good, I like the Pope. If it's bad, I don't like the Pope.
Trump, it has become very clear that you're probably going to lose.
Correct.
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump. Donald Trump. Donald Trump. Donald Trump. Donald Trump.
And I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States. So help me God.
He came from nowhere, and he makes his projects. Everything comes from just his sheer energy and his sheer showmanship.
Are you in or out?
He's a vicious, greedy, and arrogant man who has achieved an extraordinary degree of business success.
Love him or hate him, Donald Trump makes a splash wherever he goes. At 40, he's already amassed a $1.5 billion property empire, most of which bears his name.
My new game is Trump, the game. Trump, that game where you deal for everything you've ever wanted to own.
Donald Trump is the braggadocious New Yorker, and I think he's even too much for many braggadocious New Yorkers.
For nearly 20 years, Mike Amor was the US Bureau Chief for 7 News Australia.
The election could come down to the country's 8 million undecided voters, but the big fear is many of those could be so uninspired by both men, they may just stay at home on election day.
He covered numerous presidential campaigns, but none like this one.
He wrote The Art of the Deal, but yet he was involved in a lot of bankruptcies. His casinos in the East Coast went bankrupt.
People don't realize, and I don't believe we've ever really given credit for how big Trump Hotels and Casino Resorts is. We're one of the largest casino companies in the United States. The Trump Taj Mahal,
West Virginia,
tremendously
Maryland opened up a lot of casinos. Like this took a lot of gambling business in Atlantic City.
So he wasn't taken seriously. He wasn't liked by New Yorkers. They thought that he was a joke, but I think they underestimated him.
President Obama will go down as perhaps the worst president in the history of the United States! Exclamation point. At real Donald Trump. At real Donald Trump. At least I will go down as a president.
Trump had flirted with the idea of running for president since the 80s.
Do you have the genes to be a successful politician?
Well, you never really know. I think I'm pretty outspoken, and that's not probably a good thing in terms of a politician, but it's a good thing if you ever got elected, you can really do a job.
But he stepped up those ambitions in 2011 and was the leading voice of the birtherism conspiracy.
Potential US presidential candidate Donald Trump has launched a new attack on Barack Obama. The billionaire reality TV star first spearheaded the birther movement, which questions whether President Obama was born in America despite the release of his birth certificate.
Donald Trump loves a conspiracy theory, and he wasn't responsible for the birther movement, but he really pumped some steroids into it. The birther movement was basically that Barack Obama was born in Kenya because he had a Kenyan father, and you can't become an American president unless you're a natural-born citizen. So this was a movement that really caught on at some stages during it. Americans actually believed Barack Obama wasn't born in America and therefore couldn't legally be president. He had to go on to produce his birth certificates from Hawaii to disprove it. But even to this day, a lot of people still don't believe that Barack Obama was a legitimate president because, in fact, he was born in Kenya, which he wasn't.
Weeks after that conspiracy theory was debunked, Trump found himself in the same room as Obama.
The 2011 White House Correspondents' Dinner, Barack Obama spoke as president, and it's a moment that really the presidents make fun of themselves, but Barack Obama tore Donald Trump apart.
But no one is happier, no one is prouder to put this birth certificate matter to rest than the Donald. And that's because he can finally get back to focusing on the issues that matter. Like, did we fake the moon landing? What really happened in Roswell? And where are Biggie and Tupac?
Barack Obama tore Donald Trump apart in that speech, and Donald Trump was in the crowd, and you can see the pictures there. He hated every moment of it, and a lot of people say that's when Donald Trump decided, literally, F you, I'm going to run for president and prove you wrong.
And I can tell you this, if I run and if I win, this country will be respected again. This country will be respected again, I can tell you.
Yeah, I know, he does make it.
It was the ultimate marketeering move by Donald Trump to come down that gold escalator. It might have actually been bronze, but it looked gold. And I think when it happened, nobody took it seriously. Everyone thought, well, this is just a marketing ploy by Donald Trump. Reportedly, the people in the crowd were either paid $50 to hold up the Trump signs, or they were tourists. Some of them who couldn't even speak English were roped into coming in to be there for this big Trump moment. And he was seen as saying, as he went down that escalator, look at the crowd, much like he'd go on to do many times. But there weren't that many people there, and people really didn't take it seriously at that stage.
On the 16th of June 2015, this happened.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am officially running for President of the United States, and we are
at that stage.
On the 16th of June 2015, this happened.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am officially running for President of the United States, and we are going to make our country great again.
It was official. Donald Trump had entered the race, and his first speech set the tone for his entire campaign.
When Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best. They're not sending you. They're not sending you. They're sending people that have lots of problems, and they're bringing those problems with us. They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people.
June 16 wasn't just the day Trump launched his bid for office. It was the day a movement was born.
Called MAGA. A movement called MAGA.
You're right. The American dream is dead. But if I get elected president, I will bring it back. Bigger and better and stronger than ever before, and we will make America great again. Thank you. Thank you.
Make America Great was really a catch cry that was made famous by Ronald Reagan back in 1979 when he was running for president.
We'll restore hope and we'll welcome them into a great national crusade to make America great again.
It became just a marketing ploy. In fact, Donald Trump went on to trademark it, and that Make America Great MAGA hats, the red ones, became such a big part of his campaign and still remains that way today. And the MAGA tag has become the movement. They're not just Republicans anymore, they're MAGA Republicans.
Build that wall. 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 Wall.
Unfiltered and unapologetic, Donald Trump hit 2 border states and took aim at just about everyone.
Those people, many of them, not all, some are great, but many of them are very dishonest people, meaning the press. Reverend Al is a con man. We're so stupid. We are led by stupid people.
Thousands lined up to hear him speak, and when protesters tried to interrupt, Trump led the chant.
USA. USA.
And they were drowned out by the presidential hopeful who's now dominating the Republican race.
The poll just came out, and I'm tied with Jeb Bush. And I said, oh, that's too bad. How can I be tied with this guy? He's terrible.
Supporters and opponents are equally vocal.
We're here in force to tell him go home. We don't need you. Your racist comments.
Numerous companies have ended partnerships with Trump after his comment about the chant.
USA.
And they were drowned out by the presidential hopeful who's now dominating the Republican race.
The poll just came out, and I'm tied with Jeb Bush. And I said, oh, that's too bad. How can I be tied with this guy? He's terrible.
Supporters and opponents are equally vocal.
We're here in force to tell him go home. We don't need you. Your racist comments.
Numerous companies have ended partnerships with Trump after his comment about Mexican immigrants. But the billionaire businessman isn't backing down.
They're taking everything and they're killing us on the border.
With the first Republican debate now less than a month away, the party fears Trump is turning their race into a circus.
It was a huge Republican field at some stages earlier where there were 17 candidates, including Donald Trump. And you've got to remember, the favourite at that stage was Jeb Bush, the son of George Herbert Bush, the brother of George Walker Bush, both former presidents. So he was extremely popular. Everybody thought that the Republican candidate was going to be Jeb Bush or Marco Rubio, who was another rising star in the Republican Party.
Donald Trump soon gathered ground on his Republican rivals in the primaries, and by the time the primary debates rolled around, he was the centre of everyone's attention.
The 15 Republican candidates posed in front of Ronald Reagan's presidential plane, Air Force One, a reminder of what's at stake.
I'm Donald Trump.
No introduction needed.
I say not in a braggadocious way. I've made billions and billions of dollars dealing with people all over the world, and I want to put whatever that talent is to work for this country.
Then the billionaire turned TV show host, who is the leading candidate, was quickly attacked.
We don't need an apprentice in the White House. We don't need an apprentice in the White House. We have one right now.
But they were trumped.
I never attacked him on his look, and believe me, there's plenty of subject matter.
Many Americans are waiting for the Trump bubble to burst. They'll keep waiting.
You all know that the United States Secret Service uses code names for the president and his family. What would you want your Secret Service code name to be?
Humble.
He turned nasty. He changed politics forever. There were no niceties. He attacked them. He used things that maybe weren't even true against them.
He's earned the nickname Teflon Don, but Donald Trump is facing increasing scrutiny for being loose with the truth after claiming thousands of Muslims celebrated in New Jersey on September 11.
This didn't happen in New Jersey. There were plenty of reports, and you're feeding a stereotype.
Look, it did happen in New Jersey. I have hundreds of people that agree with me.
You're running for president of the United States. Your words matter. Truthfulness matters. Fact-based stuff matters,
Make it easy, Chuck. Just play cool.
Trump also denied mocking New York Times reporter Serge Kovaleski's disability.
Oh,
By a nice reporter. Now the poor guy, you got to see this guy. Oh, I don't know what I said. Oh, I don't remember.
Trump said he doesn't know Kovaleski. Not true, says a former colleague who remembers the reporter covering the tycoon in the late 80s.
You do not forget Serge. And I'm sorry, he imitated, he mocked him.
The polls have consistently put Donald Trump ahead of his Republican rivals, and now they're ratcheting up attacks against him.
But Trump knows how to get attention, making it hard for an overcrowded Republican field to catch up.
Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States until our country's representatives can figure out what the hell is going on. We have no choice. We have no choice.
Trump has 28% support among Republican voters. That's 5 points clear of Cruz, 13 ahead of Senator Marco Rubio. Both sides are leaving nothing to chance, with tens of thousands of homes being door-knocked by campaign staff
urging people to brave the chilly conditions to get out and vote.
Iowa is the first state to have its say on who Republicans and Democrats should nominate as their next president. Candidates who do well here receive a huge boost heading into next week's vote in New Hampshire. And history shows if you win here, there's a 50% chance you'll end up in the final race for the White House.
Touchdown in New Hampshire, a new state and now a whole new race following the surprises of Iowa.
So what a victory last night.
Republican Ted Cruz's poll-defying win giving him a major boost as he sets out to trump Donald Trump again. After his gracious speech last night,
I'm really honored, and I want to congratulate Ted.
Trump was back to attack dog mode, dismissing his rival's victory speech as too long, rambling, and flamboyant. New Hampshire could deliver Trump his first victory.
Anything can happen because New Hampshire voters really make up their mind on that final weekend.
This man just proved anything can happen. Florida Senator Marco Rubio, just 44 and just 1% behind Trump in the Iowa vote.
They told me that we had no chance because my hair wasn't gray enough.
A nail-biting result on the Democratic side too.
I am so thrilled that I'm coming to New Hampshire after winning Iowa.
Well, just. Clinton was declared the late winner over Bernie Sanders, a razor-thin victory that in some areas came down to the toss of a coin.
One of these men could become the leader of the free world next year.
Well, this guy's a joke artist, and this guy's a liar.
America's election now resembles a schoolyard slanging match.
If he hadn't inherited $200 million, you know where Donald Trump would be right now? Selling watches in Manhattan.
Republican frontrunner Donald Trump came under attack from literally both sides in the latest debate.
Donald, relax.
Go ahead, I'm relaxed. You're the basket case.
Marco Rubio continued the nastiness today.
Well, he's a con man. I think it's time to unmask him.
Even mocking Trump for his attacking tweets.
And once a choker, always a chalker. He misspelled it, chalker.
Trump made fun of Rubio.
It's Rubio!
Billionaire's chances were boosted with the endorsement today of former opponent, New Jersey Governor Chris Christie.
The next president of the United States, Donald Trump.
So why all this vitriol? Next week is Super Tuesday when 12 states vote. It will go a long way to deciding who will be the Republican presidential candidate. And right now, Donald Trump is still a clear favorite. Not just any Tuesday.
What a Super Tuesday!
A day Hillary Clinton moved much closer to the title she craves. Donald Trump was triumphant as well, claiming victory during a media conference inside his own Florida house.
Once we get all of this finished, I'm going to go after one person. That's Hillary Clinton.
He started going after her this morning.
Hillary cannot make America great. I want great again. I want great again. I don't want it.
The frontrunner's already looking ahead to the presidential race as Clinton attacked Trump's language.
I'm just speaking out against bigotry and bullying wherever I hear it.
Their opponents are not conceding just yet. Texan Ted Cruz won his home state and Oklahoma. But Marco Rubio is ignoring calls to drop out after a surprise win in Minnesota. This is about winning delegates attached to each state. About half needed to become the Republican candidate are up for grabs today, a third for the Democrats. Despite falling further behind Clinton, Bernie Sanders is promising a long fight.
America has woken up to the reality.
I'm not happy at all.
Donald Trump
I feel awfully good.
could be unstoppable.
I don't think Trump is good for the U.S.
And neither do many Republicans.
I'm anybody but Trump.
The party's 2012 candidate, Mitt Romney, has been called in to ramp up the revolt tomorrow.
He really would harm, I truly believe he would harm our country.
Another controversial Republican disagrees, offering to work in a Trump administration.
If there were a call for me to offer more on a national stage, I would do it.
A Trump-Palin joint ticket? It's unlikely, but this look from Chris Christie last night had many questioning online whether he's having second thoughts about endorsing the frontrunner. Perhaps it was just a coincidence, but as Americans went to the polls yesterday, Google reported a 350% increase in people searching how to move to Canada. This Canadian's website urging Trump refugees to come to his hometown has 800,000 views in the past 2 weeks. A Donald Trump supporter pushes a protester to the ground, punches and kicks him repeatedly as the crowd cheers on. Another protester with the victim was wearing a KKK-style hood while making a Hitler salute.
Puts a Ku Klux Klan hat on. He thinks he's cute. He's a disgusting guy.
At the same rally in Arizona, the billionaire's campaign manager was seen roughing up a young man. A violent end to another day of demonstrations.
If they had a match, they'd burn the American flag. They don't care about us.
In Phoenix, dozens of people blockaded a road to the Republican frontrunner's rally for several hours. 3 were arrested after chaining themselves to cars and creating a traffic nightmare. Hundreds more gathered outside Trump Tower in New York, where they clashed with police. As each day passes, protest groups are getting more organised and more determined to disrupt Trump's campaign. But rather than harm him, his supporters claim they're only strengthening his popularity. Hundreds of protesters try to storm the venue near San Francisco. Riot police eventually push them back. Then they move to another entrance, tearing down barricades. They're going over a different barrier and setting upon a Donald Trump supporter.
然后就被打了，这个
The Republican
看起来像
frontrunner
川普
was
被打
forced to
了。
detour, getting dropped out the back, then walking across the
对，当时
highway
那
with his
些
entourage to get
那些
inside.
That was not the easiest entrance I've ever made.
看他们
Boy, I
在打
felt
的
like
是
I was
川普，
crossing the border, actually.
这个都咋打的？
His stance on illegal immigration
就是因
was
为他
no
们知道
laughing matter for those
法庭是
outside,
被这个
many
跨趴里
carrying
控制的，他
Mexican
们刚开始
flags.
会被绑起，没关系。
tolerate
他们
racism.
就开
Today's
始做各
chaos
种伪
followed more
证。
than 20 arrests at a Trump rally near Los Angeles last night. Hundreds of supporters and opponents facing off on the streets.
It is total gridlock.
One man was left bloodied in the back of an ambulance.
Anti-Trump protesters on the streets of Albuquerque. Police used pepper spray to take aim at demonstrators.
Someone, we need water. Stay with that water.
Who had earlier smashed windows and targeted officers on horseback. It followed Donald Trump's latest win in Washington state as he turned his campaign focus to the Clintons.
No woman should be subjected to it.
An amazing new low.
She starts to bite on my top lip and it's trying to pull away from me.
That's Donald Trump's latest attack ad, a personal blow he calls a counterpunch.
I don't like doing that, but I have no choice.
It was a different story back in the 90s when Trump defended his then friend Bill Clinton against the women who accused him of assault.
Paula Jones is a loser.
Clinton retaliated with her own punch, using Trump's comments before the global financial crisis.
If there is a bubble burst, as they call it, you can make a lot of money.
All because he thought
川普这是在教好的经济知识啊，他说的完全。
Defended his then friend Bill Clinton against the women who accused him of assault.
Paula Jones is a loser.
Clinton retaliated with her own punch, using Trump's comments before the global financial crisis.
If there is a bubble burst, as they call it, you can make a lot of money.
all because he thought he could take advantage of it to make some money for himself.
Capitalism 本来不就是这样
Trump
子的
says
吗？
he was being a smart businessman. While Clinton and Trump trade blows, they
因为
remain
这
the
个我
most
讲解一下
unpopular
capitalism 的知识。 因为房产泡沫爆掉的时候，房价会大跌，那时候是大量吃进资产的好时机啊。不是，这个很简单的经济知识啊。
It's in recent history. New polling shows 6 in 10 Americans don't like either of them.
The race was on. Donald John Trump was officially the Republican Party's candidate.
买了会亏钱的，所以听这种他的话的人就可以获利啊。
It's
或者
official.
那
Roll call of
些
states
想要
declared
赚大
Donald
钱
Trump
的
the
那
Republican
些
presidential
大资本
candidate.
家，那时候
His
大量
children were there to
不是
accept the nomination.
准备买低价房产。
The billionaire made another surprise appearance via satellite.
Getting the party's nomination, I'll never forget it. It's something I will never, ever forget.
His family keen to talk about Donald Trump, the father.
In person, my father is so friendly, so considerate, so funny, and so real.
I know that when someone tells him that something is impossible, that's what triggers him into action.
For most of the day, instead of selling Donald Trump's message, his campaign was defending stealing someone else's. His wife, Melania, plagiarized parts of Michelle Obama's 2008 convention speech.
Work hard for what you want in life. That your word is your bond, that you do what you say you're going to do.
You do what you say. Those were common phrases. And
Yeah,
so what if they've been
it's
used
not
before by the same
plagiarized,
person
they're
in the
public
same
figure.
potential position? What does it
Oh,
matter
maybe no,
when
you
we've
need
got
to call.
people dying all over the planet?
Or only like
typical
English
Trump
essay,
style, he
like
ignored the
reply you
controversy
to
and
like
calls for
call
the
from
speechwriter to be
somebody.
sacked,
Like
hoping it's another bump on the way to the White House.
people watch news, they should know themselves.
And he was taking on a fixture of US political history, Hillary Clinton.
Donald Trump often shoots from the hip. For many, this comment was way off the mark.
If she gets to pick her
差不
judges,
多在讲话，
nothing you can do, folks.
Hillary Clinton
Although the Second Amendment people, maybe there is, I don't know.
Hillary Clinton supporters believe
有那
Trump
个
was
在他的
advocating
网页上
violence,
光明
calling
正
it
大
an
的写，
assassination
就是
threat.
美国会怎
The
么打
Second
恐怖
Amendment
分子，
protects the right of
然后
Americans to bear
obvious 恐怖
arms.
分子大家
Trump
都
has
看
accused
到了，
Clinton
然
of
后才
wanting
造
to
成气
abolish
化
it
失
by
败的，
appointing
这
liberal
个是很
Supreme
大的
Court
政治
judges.
丑闻，
I
不
just
是
think it is a
不
window
是政
into
治丑
the
闻，主要是
soul of a person who
不
is just
懂得打仗，他不懂得这种东西不
Trump's
能
team
不
says he
能
was
不
referencing
能
the
写。
power gun rights advocates have at the voting booth.
On the eve of fight night, both candidates were talking peace in private with Israel's PM, cramming to deliver a knockout punch in their first head-to-head battle.
My advice I have for him, since he's been my friend for 28 years, is to be himself.
The experienced Clinton held mock debates, anticipating which Donald Trump she'll be battling. The on-message Trump?
I will be the greatest jobs president that God ever created, I tell you.
Or the insulting?
Don't worry about it, little Marco. I've given my answer, Lion Ted.
He's been watching old Clinton videos amid fears he'll be underprepared, though he is a master of live TV.
While you can't
那当然了，川普既然你这里说他是
Just 20 minutes away from the stage
是
is
以前是
Hicksville, USA,
TV
an
star，
average
那他
slice
当
of
然是
America
很擅
divided
长
and increasingly
就是
disinterested.
TV 的东西了
There's a debate
这个不是 common sense 吗？
regarding Mrs. Clinton. So, but listen, he is also a big crapshoot.
About a third of Americans say they'll use the debates to decide who to eventually vote for, and round one is likely to draw a Super Bowl-sized
哦，
audience.
对，川
Round
普和
100
希拉里
million
的 debate
people
我
are
才听了
expected
第
to
一
tune
场，
in
后面其实还没
for
有
the
没听。
fireworks. The matchup comes on the anniversary of the first televised debate. The fresh young JFK won the vote against a sweating Richard Nixon, proving presentation can be as important as policy. Face to face in their first showdown. The candidates smiled, barely disguised their disdain.
Donald, it's good to be with you.
然后美国政治课本都教过的，美国政治家本来就是要互相泼对方，就接对方的短处啊。但是泼脏水是不能是造谣火，这是基本上。
Our airports are like from a third world country.
For a while, he seemed in control.
I will release my tax returns against my lawyers.
我听得懂川普讲什么意思。
In great shape. Our airports are like from a third world.
因为那个很多美国人，当时以为中国是像那个就是都是像农村那种什么超级破的，然后很多美国人都以为中国是third world country，但是中国的农村确实是third world country，反正是很差的，但是川普去的是北京的机场。北京的机场的现代化建设是明显比美国的很多年久失修都不进行基础建设的机场，条件是好了很多，所以川普在这里是说的，而且还有别的国家，川普因为他是不光去中国啊，他还有比如说去日本。还有比如说去各个国家，他是发现美国的机场居然有些中国毕竟算第二世界，反正就是没有到发达国家的水平。但是川普也有时候去third world country，然后他是发现有些third world country的机场，确实是比美国的机场好啊。然后他这里就有讲出来啊。
Country.
For a while, he seemed in control.
I will release my tax returns against my lawyer's wishes. When she releases her 33,000 emails that have been deleted.
But he interrupted.
这个email delete 多半就是说，Hillary Clinton 我不认为他是勾结恐怖分子组织，他多半是因为女的不懂打仗，就不懂基本的。就是战争打仗不能打恐怖分子啊，虽然他是以为美国军队很强大，可能是恐怖分子随便打就很容易打的，然后居然是把那个怎么打的写在他的那个什么个人主页还是什么地方，当时美国 news 有 report 过的，然后都被恐怖分子知道了，然后当时就造成行动损失。我也不知道了，但肯定被恐怖分子又不是白痴，都知道美军要来打他们了，怎么打的？那他们当然战斗力会更强一些，然后造成了一些不必要的伤亡和钱财损失。川普说的是这件事。
25 times in the first 26 minutes.
But we need listen. We
因为这个，当然这里是川普是有一点。他说了多少次？我看再听一遍。
33,000 emails that have been deleted.
But he interrupted 25 times in the first 20.
First 25. 那川普这个那就是有一点没有绅士风度了，但是这是政治的 political debate。然后川普是 aggressive player，他讲话就是很凶的，就是一直是弄得对手不 comfortable，然后这样子对手能够发挥不好啊。而且因为这个很明显是 Hillary Clinton 的一个就是一个比较大的就是不好的地方，然后川普是政治家本来就是他们本来就是这样的，然后就一直抓他的短处，然后。但是确实用的太多了，因为就算一个26次，对，但不能用这么，不可能用这么多，所以到时候我要看他们这场比赛到底有几次。
But we need listen.
We need to move on.
Wait, but it's very important. Well, he approved NAFTA.
New jobs,
He approved
balanced
NAFTA,
budget,
which is the single worst trade deal ever approved.
I have a feeling by the end.
不对呀。在他们第一场我是整场完整看完的，反正我看有3个多小时的。川普，提的频率没有这么高啊， 那有可能是第2场或第3场什么的，那反正到时候我再去看就知道了。那自己再重新。
But we need, listen,
we need to move on.
Wait, but it's very important. Well, he approved
million new
NAFTA.
jobs,
He
a
approved
balanced
NAFTA, which is the
budget,
single
and-
most.
你看这里，因为我当时看的时候，我就发现 Trump 和 Hillary Clinton 底背的，反正我当时我看的那个版本的整场，反正我有存下来的，就是主持人是明显就是偏帮Hillary Clinton， 因为她是女的，本来让一些，是需要让一些了，我们男的。反正本来就吃亏一些又无所谓的，但是不是像这里面说的，是川普是老是在攻击，因为我看过整场的。
Trade deal ever approved
I have a feeling by the end of this evening I'm going to be blamed for everything that's ever happened.
Why not?
Why not? Yeah, why not?
No wonder you've been fighting ISIS your entire adult life.
That's please, the fact checkers, get
Folks,
to work.
you were-
Donald supported the invasion of Iraq.
Wrong.
That is.
伊拉克又不是 invasion， 伊拉克是去那个 stop， Iraq invade Iraq last time, yeah, they first fought war with Iran. Then they are draw, they make a draw. Then Iraq attack Kuwait and a couple like a small attack. It's like yeah, they are attacking. And the last time plus George W. Bush went there to stop Saddam's invasion to other country. 当时伊拉克还打过那个沙特阿拉伯啊，沙联酋也被他打过的，是小打不打得不厉害。
Is absolutely
Wrong.
proved over and over again.
Wrong.
He actually,
The record shows otherwise.
The
But
record
why
does
is
not show. I did not support the war in Iraq.
and it got ugly.
I don't believe she does have the stamina. To be president of this country, you need.
我当时大学的 essay 我是写我 support war of Iraq， 我当时有去网上摄取过，到底是怎么回事的？
Tremendous stamina.
As soon as he travels to 112 countries and negotiates a peace deal, a ceasefire, or even spends 11 hours testifying in front of a congressional committee, he can talk to me about stamina.
The intensely distrusted Clinton had practiced being personable.
I've been all over the place. You decided to stay home, and that's okay.
I think Donald just criticized me for preparing for this debate. And you know what else I prepared for? I prepared to be president. And I think that's a good thing.
I think my strongest asset, maybe by far, is my temperament. I have a winning temperament.
A man who can be provoked by a tweet should not have his fingers anywhere near the nuclear codes.
This fight is just round one. Clinton and Trump will clash in another 2 debates. The last one will be 3 weeks before Election Day. For now, both make a beeline to battleground states until the real showdown on November 8th.
In a lot of ways, Hillary Clinton was,
open for
I
at
guess,
least 4 days.
US royalty when it
That
came
is
to
why you
politics.
shouldn't trust stupid like
Being a very
Democrat
popular
boxes.
president, and she was the overwhelming
politician.
favourite, having been Secretary of State in Barack Obama's presidency. She was overwhelming favourite to become the next US president, the first female US president. But she carried a lot of baggage into that campaign, a lot of mistrust from certainly Republicans, and Donald Trump seized on that. That lock her up catch cry became infamous and really did a lot of damage to Hillary Clinton. There was questions about her dealings with the Clinton Foundation, whether they got special privileges while she was Secretary of State, and of course her email server. She had a private email server while she was Secretary of State. On it, she was accused of using classified information. So they opened an investigation in the FBI, and they said that while she was careless, she didn't do anything wrong. She deleted 33,000 emails which she said were private and nothing to do with her public life.
Hillary set up an illegal server for the obvious purpose of shielding her criminal conduct.
Clinton's trust deficit is already her biggest hurdle. Almost every Trump supporter believes she's not honest or trustworthy, and a third of her own voters agree. But most dangerously, 84% of undecided voters have a problem believing Hillary.
The Don arrived with drama, including his own showbiz soundtrack, bringing some flair to a fight in Florida that's do or die.
In 16 days, we're going to win the great state of Florida, and we are going to win back the White House.
But the polls tell another story. He's down by 3 points in this must-win state. Nationally, it's worse. One new poll has Hillary Clinton now 12 points ahead, prompting a rare admission from Camp Trump.
We are behind. She has some advantages, like $66 million in ad buys just in the month of September.
Some Republicans have lost hope he can claw back.
I don't see it happening. I mean, maybe it could.
Donald Trump argues he'll win because there's more enthusiasm for him on the ground, bigger crowds at rallies like this. The question is whether that will translate to a win on the only day that counts.
Do I need to ask you what you think of Hillary Clinton?
I think my shirt says it all.
Clinton could still be damaged by the drip feed of her emails on WikiLeaks.
I have plans for everything. You know how we women are. You gotta write it down.
While the race is far from over, comedians are calling it.
Trump, it has become very clear that you're probably going to lose.
Correct.
While Trump's MAGA supporters were chanting to lock Hillary Clinton up, news was about to break that threatened to end Trump's own campaign for good.
Outside Trump Tower, the Donald was mobbed by fans.
USA! USA!
A defiant showman in the face of a seismic meltdown because inside his party, friends are dropping like flies.
I don't even know. And when you're a star, they're left to do it. You can do anything. Whatever you want. Grab them by the... I can do anything.
A day after that bombshell video, Trump says there's zero chance he'll quit. Tweeting, "I will never drop out of this. Will never let my supporters down." And the diehards are with him.
There is nothing that is going to cause his dropping out. That's a wishful thinking of the Clinton campaign.
But Republicans are in a civil war. Many today abandoned Trump, including Condoleezza Rice and former presidential candidate John McCain. Trump's own running mate, the deeply conservative Mike Pence, cancelled today's appearance, saying, "I do not condone his remarks and cannot defend them." Trump's hot mic comments, some say bragging about sexual assault, came while wife Melania was pregnant. She called his words unacceptable, but added, "This does not represent the man that I know. I hope people will accept his apology as I have." As Trump spent the day in crisis meetings, a blistering takedown was going viral. Care of Robert De Niro.
He's a punk. He's a dog. He's a pig. He's a con, a artist, a mutt who doesn't know what he's talking about. He talks how he wants to punch people in the face. Well, I'd like to punch him in the face.
And is another punch coming?
My daughter is beautiful, Ivanka.
By the way, your daughter,
She's beautiful.
Can I say this? A piece of ass.
Yeah.
His team is panicking that more tapes would spell the end. I was at that second debate.
我再看一下这什么意思，我没看懂。
Well,
the day in crisis meetings, a blistering takedown was going viral. Care of Robert De Niro.
he's a punk. He's a dog. He's a pig. He's a con, a artist, a mutt who doesn't know what he's talking about. He talks how he wants to punch people in the face. Well, I'd like to punch him in the face.
And is another punch coming?
My daughter is beautiful, Ivanka.
By the way, your daughter,
She's beautiful.
Can I say this? A piece of ass.
Yeah.
His team is panicking that more tapes.
哦， 那就是川普女儿的色情照片被人拍到了，然后那段话就是意思是就是恐吓川普，要把他女儿的光屁股的照片到处到处就是估计是发到那个花花公子的色情杂志上去那个。就是去展示啊，这样对这些有名人的家里面，他们就是就反正不高兴啊。美国的色情杂志《花花公子》上面不最有名的我不讲啊。
Would spell the end. I was at that second debate in Missouri, and Donald Trump was going okay. Then that tape came out. Grab her by the you-know-what tape. And it was just right before the debate, and everybody, myself included, thought, well, this is it. They've sunk. He's gone. He's done. But rather than apologise for it in typical Donald Trump style, he said, oh, look, it was just words. It was locker room talk. We've all been guilty of that before. And then went on the attack.
Vegas fight night usually begins with a touch of the gloves. These opponents couldn't muster a handshake. And the knockout came when Donald Trump refused to say he'll accept the election night result.
I will tell you at the time. I'll keep you in suspense.
He didn't get an Emmy for his TV program 3 years in a row, and he started tweeting that the Emmys were rigged.
Should have gotten it.
For a while, they debated substance.
I want to build the wall. But we have some bad hombres here, and we're going to get them out.
We had a meeting with the Mexican president, didn't even raise it, he choked. And then got into a Twitter war because the Mexican president said, we're not paying for that wall.
Trump was strong on conservative values of abortion and gun rights, but the billionaire was hit on the now numerous allegations of sexual assault.
And I didn't even apologize to my wife, who's sitting right here, because I didn't do anything.
Donald thinks belittling women makes him bigger.
Nobody has more respect for women than I do. Nobody. Nobody has more respect.
Please, everybody.
Yet 30 minutes later,
Such a nasty woman.
Trump swung at Clinton over corruption claims in her family foundation. Allegations she deflected.
The Trump Foundation, which took money from other people and bought a 6-foot portrait of Donald. I mean, who does that?
They say what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, but this grudge match
what happened in Vegas stay in Vegas 就是 Vegas 是
to
搞
go.
一夜情的地方，我知道啊。
It's typical Donald Trump, right? It wasn't about what he said, it was about the image. He was the aggressor. You know, a lot of people would say that he was doing exactly what he had done in his private life, treating women without respect. So while he didn't win that debate, he didn't lose it enough to lose ground in the election, and it didn't sink him, which just surprises so many. And I've got to point out, just as an interesting aside, Billy Bush, who was from Access Hollywood, who was in that tape, he lost his job. Donald Trump didn't lose his.
Far from it. Just 11 days before the election, this happened.
I need to open with a very critical breaking news announcement.
A beaming Donald Trump with news so big he couldn't wait to tell supporters. The FBI is investigating Hillary Clinton again.
And they are reopening the case into her criminal and illegal conduct.
A stunning campaign gift that no one saw coming.
This is the biggest political scandal since Watergate.
As they celebrated, Clinton was blindsided. In the air when the bombshell dropped, she landed with a plane full of reporters to a breaking disaster. No comment for them, and at her first rally of the day, little more for supporters either.
Donald Trump says he can still win, and he's right. Anything can happen in an election.
She's already faced a year-long FBI investigation into whether she used private email for classified information, and the FBI decided not to press charges. But now they've found more, this time dug up in their probe into Congressman Anthony Weiner's sexting scandal with an underage girl. Weiner's estranged wife is Clinton's top aide.
Secretary Clinton, how much difficult will the campaign be?
The 69-year-old was enjoying a clear lead in this campaign. The Access Hollywood tapes had most polls predicting guaranteed victory. This could be a game changer.
Mrs. Clinton,
After stalling all day, she finally faced the media, revealing she's been told nothing by the Bureau.
We are calling on the FBI to release all the information that it has.
This will reinvigorate the Trump campaign.
It might not be as rigged as I thought.
Findings of this new investigation is either.
Donald Trump says he can still win, and you know, he's right. Anything can happen in an election.
She's already faced a year-long FBI investigation into whether she used private email for classified information, and the FBI decided not to press charges. But now they've found more, this time dug up in their probe into Congressman Anthony Weiner's sexting scandal with an underage girl. Weiner's estranged wife is Clinton's top aide.
Secretary Clinton, how much difficult will the campaign be?
The 69-year-old was enjoying a clear lead in this campaign. The Access Hollywood tapes had most polls predicting guaranteed victory. This could be a game changer.
Mrs. Clinton,
After stalling all day, she finally faced the media, revealing she's been told nothing by the Bureau.
We are calling on the FBI to release all the information that it has.
This will reinvigorate the Trump campaign.
It might not be as rigged as I thought.
Findings of this new investigation are unlikely to be released before the election, and that is just 11 days away.
I'm confident, whatever they are, will not change the conclusion reached in July.
This leaves America in an unprecedented situation. A presidential candidate under the cloud of an FBI investigation, possibly facing charges as the nation heads to the ballot box. Too soon to know the legal consequences, but the political fallout will be immediate. In the Miami rain, Jennifer Lopez offered a momentary distraction.
First female president of the United States, Hillary Clinton!
A woman with a darkening cloud over her campaign.
Love trumps hate.
Earlier, she rallied supporters, appearing almost flippant.
Some of you may have heard about a letter that the FBI director sent out yesterday.
But again, she demanded the FBI tell voters what it's found to prompt this explosive new investigation into her private email server.
这当然不能讲啊，这 FBI 调查了一半，如果讲出来，被那些坏蛋知道了，然后坏蛋们又可以销毁证据或者怎么样，或者什么杀害证人之类的，这个很明显的，这个有基本常识的都知道，这里 Hillary Clinton 说的是不对的。
Rattled by the timing.
It's not just strange, it's unprecedented, and it is deeply troubling.
The FBI boss, under fire from all sides, tried to explain his delicate decision to go public. He knew he ran a serious risk releasing this mid-election, but felt it would be misleading to the American people not to. Even the vice president has weighed in.
I think the quicker they release the emails for the public to see them, the better off. I have confidence in Hillary.
Over 3 rallies, Donald Trump stayed on auto cue. His campaign is determined not to let their candidate muddle this last-minute gift.
不是 FBI 调查，如果这时候被公布出来，有些线索就断掉了，因为证人还有提供线索的，有时候就被杀害了，或者就不敢干了。这个很明显的，就是懂有智慧的都这可以直接自己算出来的，这很明显的事情。
Hillary set up an illegal server for the obvious purpose of shielding her criminal conduct.
Clinton's trust deficit is already her biggest hurdle. Almost every Trump supporter believes she's not honest or trustworthy, and a third of her own voters agree. But most dangerously, 84% of undecided voters have a problem believing Hillary. The latest tracking poll has Donald Trump seriously closing the gap. Now, just 2 points behind. And those numbers were taken before this latest email bombshell. The question now, how much further will Hillary Clinton fall? Two days to go, and Donald Trump was flying to the moon and back. Moon, Pennsylvania.
We are going
to win back the White House.
His last stop after crisscrossing America's battlegrounds, slamming through 5 states in 9 hours. Clinton did too.
Then she goes home and she goes to sleep for a day.
His attacks on his rival uninterrupted despite today's FBI
我怎么
announcement.
听到 sleep instead 了？
Latest email bombshell. The question now, how much further will Hillary Clinton fall? Two days to go and Donald Trump was flying to the moon and back. Moon, Pennsylvania.
We are going to win back the White House.
His last stop after crisscrossing America's battlegrounds, slamming through 5 states in 9 hours. Clinton did too.
Then she goes home and she goes to sleep for a day.
所以这证明川普的身形啊。然后希拉里就说
His attacks on his
肯定有
rival
生病
uninterrupted despite today's FBI announcement.
She's protected by a rigged system. She shouldn't even be
哦，
allowed
那时
to
候
run for
COVID-19 还
president.
没有爆
With
发，
Hillary
在
using
2016
stars
年
like
的时候。
J-Lo, Trump's been going solo.
2016
No
年的
high profile.
那时候我在哪里啊？哎，我不是那时候我被抓在精神病院虐待，就是把你的一帮坏警察把我抓去虐待的。
Support until today from this gun-toting soccer mum and political celebrity.
I don't like looking at the polls usually. Like I said, polls are only good for strippers and cross-country skiers.
Sarah Palin made an 11th hour appearance to stump for Trump.
Donald Trump as our next president.
The Don confident this tight race is his. No sign of concern after last night's security scare. In these final hours, Donald Trump is showing rare discipline, staying strictly on message and avoiding all controversies. There's even reports his staff have taken his Twitter account off him to prevent any last-minute social media slip-ups.
If somebody can't handle a Twitter account, they can't handle the nuclear code.
对呀、因为 Trump 那时候手机被抢走了，他就没法回他的 Twitter account。这里说了，你看这个电视上说的。
He shouldn't even be allowed to run for president.
With Hillary using stars like J-Lo, Trump's been going solo. No high-profile support until today from this gun-toting soccer mum and political celebrity.
I don't like looking at the polls usually. Like I said, polls are only good for strippers and cross-country skiers.
Sarah Palin made an 11th hour appearance to stump for Trump.
Donald Trump as our next president.
The Don confident this tight race is his. No sign of concern after last night's security scare. In these final hours, Donald Trump is showing rare discipline, staying strictly on message and avoiding all controversies. There's even reports his staff have taken his Twitter account off him to prevent any last-minute social media slip-ups.
If somebody can't handle a Twitter account,
然后这里
In these final hours, Donald Trump is showing rare discipline, staying strictly on message and avoiding all controversies. There's even reports his staff have taken his Twitter account off him to prevent any last-minute social.
你看 Trump 的手机就是 Twitter 账号被禁用，他是这个不就是这样退就没这个明显是不合理的。为什么 Trump 要让他的对手，因为他的media 账号要被抢走？这个很明显就不对。然后后面奥巴马这个坏蛋就跳出来说 Trump 没有办法回答选民的问题，然后在那边就是装有本事。你看这就是这个坏蛋。
they can't handle the nuclear code.
Trump determined to keep the heat on Clinton.
你看他，Trump 的头怎么前面有被枪打一个洞了？
As the countdown closes.
Donald Trump appealed to the disaffected Americans who thought that their great American dream had been forgotten and that their voice had been forgotten. We're talking about coal miners and factory workers and steel workers whose jobs had been lost in globalization, their jobs had been sent overseas, and they felt like their voice had been forgotten. And Donald Trump really appealed to these mostly white, middle-class Americans, and especially in rural areas. He wasn't favoured in the elite in the capital cities. Donald Trump really appealed to the white, working-class people in the regions.
510 days since it all began for Donald Trump, election eve is here.
Nice set of hair, I'll say that.
Another 5 rallies in 5 states, the 70-year-old campaigned into the night.
I think we're going to blow him out tomorrow in a lot of different ways. Blow him out.
17 months ago, few thought Trump's bid for the White House would go far. The odds of beating 16 other Republican candidates were low, and the chances of killing his own campaign with insults high. But he's here, within reach of the presidency, leader of the free world.
We are going to take back the White House.
And if he doesn't...
It's a rigged system. It is a rigged system.
Experts say this election will be determined by the minorities, and you can see that when you come to a Donald Trump rally. Next to no African American or Hispanic faces in this crowd. They've abandoned him, and it'll be difficult to win tomorrow without them. His base, white and male. Everyone else, he's offended, alienated. Tomorrow we'll see if they get the last word.
Go to bed right now. Get up and vote.
但是我又不能报这个，因为本 US Constitution 没有我例外的，因为我还不是认的。
Donald Trump voted early, arriving in a motorcade fit for a president. Protesters were waiting, but Trump was unfazed, showing his generous side, opening his wallet to a boy selling cookies. He took time with his vote and made sure wife Melania ticked the right box. One last wave for the media, then off to Trump Tower. He'd begun the day just like he ran his campaign, controversially. Before lodging a vote, he'd lodged a lawsuit, claiming fraud in Nevada, but the judge threw it out.
It's all hearsay. I mean, how are you going to match anything up? Your vote's secret.
His son Eric did break the law, tweeting a photo of his own ballot. With both candidates in New York City just kilometres apart, security was unprecedented. 5,000 police on duty, double the last election. Dump trucks full of sand circled Trump Tower and both camps party venues to prevent any car bomb.
Her day started so differently. Hillary Clinton relaxed at the polls in upstate New York, where historically, like millions, she voted for the first female presidential candidate.
So many people are counting on the outcome of this election, what it means for our country.
Barack Obama, who staked his legacy on a Clinton win, played his traditional election day basketball and delivered a hopeful final message.
No matter what happens, the sun will rise in the morning and America will still be the greatest nation on earth.
A nation that after 2 years
这个好像是那个
political fight
我看过的一个好莱坞movie，叫什么什么那个有那个用美国的分析海外新闻的那个 movie 里面那个 president 讲的话，是奥巴马是从那里剽窃，哎都被我发现了，哎我都知道。
Donald Trump's path to victory started with Ohio, the state
因为这部电影比这个时间发生的早多了。
Florida, North Carolina, Iowa, one by one, taking out the swing states. He campaigned so hard, edging closer to the magic number, 270.
It is remarkable what we're seeing here. It was Donald Trump versus almost all the experts, and as of right now, it looks like Donald Trump was right.
然后打城市的。 然后后面看着那个大的飞船被核弹打下来。
ran for vice president said polls should only be used by strippers in cross-country skiers, and she's probably right. Those polls were so wrong.
Barack Obama 就从那里学的他的
stock markets plunged.
This news that seems to be excellent for Donald Trump. Wall Street and the markets are very, very jittery.
Donald Trump watched it all from his golden town, the city that never sleeps,
哎，为什么我会看这部电影？那我在美国还是在中国看，我也忘了。
in the Trump Tower right now
what am I going to do now?
What do we do now?
Right.
哦，对，我是在汽车 B 被关在汽车 B 店里面看过的。
New York City, expecting to lose, and I think a lot of people thought, well, if nothing else, it's been great for his brand.
好像就是
Hillary Clinton,
2016
meanwhle,
年
had hired this big venue.
16
New York
年
City,
11
expecting
月份那个时
a
候，
party. She would
不是
become
没
the
有，
first
之前我就
female
看过，
president.
真的时候又看过。
Very quickly, that party
我很早
turned
以前
into
就看过，
supporters crying in
好像
their
在中国
beer.
的时候就看过，
And
拉到美国的时
there
候
are
看过。
images of it being empty and streamers and, you know, their election campaign paraphernalia just strewn across an empty floor. Donald Trump was surprised that he'd won because the polls didn't show it.
Hillary Clinton
There are images of it being empty and streamers and, you know, their election campaign paraphernalia just strewn across an empty floor. Donald Trump was surprised that he'd won because the polls didn't show it.
Hillary Clinton confidently booked her party beneath a glass ceiling, but the only thing shattered were supporters as their dream, shockingly, caved in.
Everybody should head home. You should get some sleep. We'll have more to say tomorrow.
They thought she was going to run away with this.
America's vote showed a blistering rejection of the Washington establishment, not seen for decades. Before the polls even closed, Clinton tweeted, "This team has so much to be proud of. Whatever happens tonight, thank you for everything." But this wasn't the story anyone predicted.
It's going to put the polling industry out of business. I don't know of one poll that suggested that Donald Trump was going to have this kind of night that he seems to be on track to have.
Because so many, it now seems, grossly underestimated the power behind Donald Trump's message. Despite massive voter turnout, exit polls showed women didn't come in the numbers Clinton hoped, while up, the huge Latino wave never arrived. And just how much that FBI email investigation, a bombshell just 11 days ago, really hurt her is unclear. At this point, it seems Hillary Clinton's dream of moving back into the White House is unlikely. Voters have sent a clear message. They're tired of Washington insiders and look to have delivered Donald Trump his American Brexit.
This is a result that goes down in US history, a scenario that almost no one thought possible. A billionaire who became the voice for millions of working class Americans. That silent majority, not so quiet anymore. Over 17 months, Donald Trump changed the country. He connected with people who'd never listened to politicians before and built an army of fierce, fiery supporters, a movement felt around the world. 25-year-old Anthony Fogus flew from Melbourne to support the Don.
It's a political phenomenon that's going on around the world, and I think we're just jumping on to be here to support this event. It's a once-in-a-lifetime event.
A once-in-a-lifetime event many can't believe.
I'm shaking like a leaf at the moment. This is terrible, terrible result.
Unthinkable, I think. I don't think anyone really thought this was a serious thing for the entire lead up to this election.
I'm really shocked right now, and I'm just overwhelmed with joy because I can't believe we're doing it.
Trump supporters are beside themselves with joyous delirium this evening after this profoundly unexpected result. A complete change of fortunes, if you like, from when I spoke to them at the other end of the day when they were going into the Hilton here in Midtown Manhattan, expecting to lose today, not because they didn't have the votes and the support, the numbers, but because they thought the system was rigged and the Democrats would game it against them. Of course, it's turned out to be completely the opposite. They've won. Millions of Americans today will be celebrating across this country. Of course, it leaves just under 50% of the country, though, certainly uncertain, not supportive of this news development, and in some cases battling despair. As Donald Trump hacks up his life here, Fifth Avenue, New York, and makes his way to Pennsylvania Avenue in Washington. The President-elect of the United States of America, Donald Trump.
I've just received a call from Secretary Clinton. She congratulated us, it's about us, on our victory. And I congratulated her and her family on a very, very hard-fought campaign. I will be president for all Americans, and this is so important to me. Secretary
Places battling despair as Donald Trump packs up his life here, Fifth Avenue, New York, and makes his way to Pennsylvania Avenue in Washington.
The President-elect of the United States of America, Donald Trump.
I've just received a call from Secretary Clinton. She congratulated us, it's about us, on our victory. And I congratulated her and her family on a very, very hard-fought campaign. I will be president for all Americans, and this is so important to me.
There are 72 days from now until the presidential inauguration, and they're going to be busy ones.
An exhausting, stressful, and sometimes downright weird election for all of us.
First on the to-do list is the Electoral College vote on Monday, December 19. That's when the people elected today cast their votes for president. We already know the outcome, but it will be formally announced to Congress on Friday, January 6. The new president will be sworn in on Friday, January 20. President Obama's term ends at that moment and the new president moves into the White House. They'll be given the Twitter handle at POTUS with its 11 million followers and all other social media. The transition is huge, governed by a federal law with a budget of up to $13 million. 4,000 government positions have to be filled, about 1,100 requiring Senate approval. It's expected that within the next few days, Michelle Obama will invite the spouse of the incoming president over to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue to show them around. Stuff and staff have to be moved out. The Obamas, their kids, and the dogs. But also 470 employees, 60 million documents, 50,000 gifts from heads of state. No, there won't be a garage sale. All the paraphernalia is being shipped to a new presidential library in Chicago. But the Obamas might not move back to their hometown. They've indicated they'll stay in Washington for at least a couple of years so their younger daughter, Sasha, can finish high school.
The polarizing world under President-elect Trump. In city after city, images of a divided states of America. Rage blocked roads as thousands reject their incoming leader. And flood the internet with troubling scenes.
Look at this.
Images of hate and racism that protesters call Trump's America seeping into schools. The hatred is
因为 Trump 去动了那个深层政府就太多，因为他把就是未来会越来越严重的问题提前爆发了，就是相对来说更容易破解吧。
escalating as the KKK announced it's holding what it calls a victory parade in coming weeks. But Trump's supporters are under attack too.
You voted Trump! You voted Trump! I don't vote Trump! Don't vote Trump! Don't vote Trump!
Many on the streets again tonight are young Americans who overwhelmingly voted for Clinton, unlike in the country's heartland, where those who voted Trump bluntly explain why.
The working class people that this country rides on had enough.
Leaving the major cities the new, unheard America.
Trump warned of civil unrest or even riots if he lost, but for the second night in a row, frightened Americans are outside his New York tower, struggling to imagine a future with him as their leader. Many protesters are peaceful, but few more powerful than this.
is fractured, and the division won't be healed quickly.
小孩子在美国本来就可以参与政治啊。
I think most people didn't think Donald Trump would survive the controversies. There was no way a future US president would survive the controversies of multiple women accusing him of sexual assault and calling women fat pigs and dogs. He didn't back away from that. In fact, he said, I was talking about Rosie O'Donnell, so yes. But somehow, Donald Trump was immune to these types of allegations that other politicians would have been sunk very early in their campaign.
For a fifth straight night.
再听他讲他没那个小孩，如果是他自己想出来的，那是非常天才。这么小就懂得讲这种话。
Many protesters are peaceful, but few more powerful than this. America is fractured, and the Americans are outside his New York tower, struggling to imagine a future with him as their leader. Many protesters are peaceful, but few more powerful than this.
这就是小孩不能努力啊。
America is fractured, and the division won't be healed quickly.
I think most people didn't think Donald Trump would survive the controversies. There was no way a future US president would survive the controversies of multiple women accusing him of sexual assault and calling women fat pigs and dogs. He didn't back away from that. In fact, he said, I was talking about Rosie O'Donnell, so yes. But somehow, Donald Trump was immune to these types of allegations that other politicians would have been sunk very early in their campaign.
For a fifth straight night, anger simmers over America's vote. Overnight, Portland protests ignited again. One demonstrator was shot in the leg. Trump Tower, the president's leg vowed self-control. His Twitter use.
I have a method for you.
But you're going to do that as president.
I'm going to do very restrained if I use it at all.
And he had visitors, including the man who led Brexit.
We're just tourists.
It's a convenient day for tourism.
He was allowed in. Documentary maker Michael Moore was not.
And we need to fight.
Led Brexit.
We're just tourists.
It's a convenient day for tourism.
He was allowed in. Documentary maker Michael Moore was not.
And we need to fight and do whatever we can to see that he does not take office on January 20th. He's an illegitimate president. He does not have the vote of the people.
Hillary Clinton stepped out for a campaign party last night. Today, she began the blame game on a call to donors.
I think we've seen how people have been reacting to the events of this election, and I know that we've got to be reaching out to each other.
She labelled the renewed FBI email investigation as a double whammy, claiming it shattered momentum and only united Trump supporters, and she was clear days before the vote.
11 days out from the election, under extreme pressure, James Comey, the FBI director, announced that they were going to reopen the investigation into her private email server. That caused a huge stink. Hillary Clinton, in part, attributes her loss to that investigation being reopened so close to the election.
Her smile masked a bitter disappointment as an emotional Hillary Clinton finally faced the voters who gave Donald Trump her dream.
Donald Trump is going to be our president. We owe him an open mind and the chance to lead.
Staff openly cried, and Clinton teetered on tears.
This is not the outcome we wanted or we worked so hard for, and I'm sorry that we did not win this election. This is painful, and it will be for a long time. This loss hurts, but please never stop believing that fighting for what's right is worth it.
As her campaign fell apart, Hillary made a private concession, but couldn't face supporters under the glass ceiling she was supposed to smash. Her voice trembled as she thanked the women of America.
Nothing has made me prouder than to be your champion.
Her loss is his too. With his legacy about to crumble, President Obama's staff cried as well as he praised his once rival.
Her candidacy and nomination was historic and sends a message to our daughters all across the country that they can achieve at the highest levels of politics.
But not the Oval Office. All the money, better campaigning, and celebrity endorsements just didn't matter.
Here in New York City, where Hillary Clinton served as senator, her 30-year career ended in tears. Her staff said to be too shocked to even begin the autopsy into what went wrong. Amid speculation, Clinton will disappear, trying to work out what comes next.
Gutted supporters pack away their memories as their country's decision sets in.
Somebody leaving their kid at home with guns.
People are really in a lot of pain and confused.
For now, at least, the Clinton era of politics is over.
Face to face for the first time, reality TV star and his new reality.
Thank you very much, President Obama.
Donald Trump has become the apprentice in the Oval Office, preparing to receive the keys to the White House.
We talked about foreign policy, we talked about domestic policy.
Arriving in Washington on his private jet, dubbed Trump Force One rather than the traditional Air Force One, Mr. Trump was on his best behavior.
I have great respect. The meeting lasted for almost an hour and a half, and it could have, as far as I'm concerned, it could have gone on for a lot longer.
Letting the man he'll soon replace take the lead.
So we now are going to want to do everything we can to help you succeed, because if you succeed, then the country succeeds.
The civil display is sharply at odds with the pair's hostile past.
Obama is an incompetent.
I continue to believe Mr. Trump will not be president.
But today, it was all smiles and handshakes.
Mr. President, it was a great honor being with you, and I look forward to being with you many, many more times.
The president even offering a tip on handling the media.
Don't answer your questions when they just start.
It's always the last one.
But they're far from friends. Usually, the President and First Lady pose with their successors outside the White House. Not today. The Trumps came in through the South Lawn entrance, avoiding the cameras and the President's staff. And Melania Trump and Michelle Obama had tea in private. Then, another awkward meeting for the President-elect. Talks with fellow Republican House Speaker Paul Ryan, who shunned Mr. Trump's campaign.
Unfortunately, we can't get started talking up. And whether it's healthcare or immigration, so many different things.
Donald Trump declares he won't let voters down.
Looking at jobs, big league jobs.
The White House has been the scene of many momentous events over the decades, but few really conceived of this meeting ever happening. A new, significant chapter in American history, as the world now contemplates a future under President Donald Trump. The woman who thought she'd be walking the halls of the White House again has gone bush, as the man who trumped her enjoyed a bird's eye view of the Capitol, where he'll be sworn in on January 20. The apprentice becoming the master.
Back on the stage he loves, Donald Trump's victory lap began.
Although we did have a lot of fun fighting Hillary, didn't we?
Recapping his greatest hits from election night.
Breaking news, Donald Trump has won Florida. They say, whoa, we didn't break it, we shattered that sucker.
He calls it the thank you tour, swinging through the swing states that delivered him the White House.
I'm asking you to join me in this next chapter of this unbelievable and unprecedented movement.
The stage is set for a new American era.
President-elect of the United States, Donald Trump.
In a full dress rehearsal, a band member stood in for the president-elect, complete with red tie, right down to his signature thumbs up. As the real Donald Trump now says, he won't tone down social media rants and doesn't want the official POTUS accounts because they have fewer followers than him. Before Donald Trump calls the White House home, he'll deliver the biggest speech of his life, his inaugural address. A true test for a man who's become best known for delivering his messages in 140 characters or less on Twitter. But in his last big interview, President 44 agrees this transition is one of the strangest in history.
It's unusual. I'll agree with that. Don't underestimate the guy, because he's going to be 45th President of the United States.
Hand in hand, taking on Trump. 3 days before he's the president.
It takes a great deal of courage to sue the most powerful man on the planet.
Former apprentice contestant Summer Zervos first spoke out last year, days after that explicit tape.
Grab him by the...
She accused Trump of kissing and touching her in 2007, one of a dozen claims he branded
pure fiction and they're outright lies.
At another extraordinary news conference, Russian President Vladimir Putin rubbish reports he's collected compromising information on Trump, saying people trying to undermine the president-elect are worse than prostitutes. As Donald Trump prepares to move in here, it's worth remembering President Obama got through 8 years without a personal scandal. If we didn't know it already, it appears the President Trump era is going to be drastically different. Before heading to the first of many Washington functions, he tweeted that his historically low approval ratings are rigged. A lot of people say about Donald Trump that deny until that denial becomes their truth. He is very much about spinning his message, whether it's a lie, whether it's wrong, or not. He just stays on message that I'm the greatest, here's what I've done, I don't care what you say about me, this is who I am. 2 days away from handing back the keys,
I was sorely tempted to wear a tan suit today.
Barack Obama's relaxed and ready for civilian family life.
Be quiet a little bit and not hear myself talk so darn much. I want to spend precious time with my girls.
But first, a not-so-subtle shot at his replacement's war on the media.
You're not supposed to be sycophants, you're supposed to be skeptics.
He offered parting advice for Donald Trump.
This is a job of such magnitude that you can't do it by yourself.
But no comment on the expanding inauguration boycott.
All I know is I'm going to be there. I have been checking the weather, and I'm heartened by the fact that it won't be as cold as my first inauguration.
He defended a final act to free classified information leaker Chelsea Manning, regardless of whether WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange would surrender himself to the US.
I don't pay a lot of attention to Mr. Assange's tweets.
And closed with classic optimism.
This is not just a matter of no drama Obama. This is what I really believe. It is true that behind closed doors I curse more than I do. But at my core, I think we're going to be okay.
After watching Donald Trump be sworn in, the Obamas will take one last trip on the presidential aircraft no longer called Air Force One, swapping the winter of Washington for the sunshine of Palm Springs and leaving America in the hands of a new president. Saluting in the shadow of Abraham Lincoln, the Trump era began with a message to his movement.
The forgotten man and the forgotten woman. Well, you're not forgotten anymore, that I can tell you.
The crowd, much smaller than Obama's inauguration event, was at times like a rock Eisteddfod, rather than a presidential welcome. 3 doors down, the draw card performance, along with the country singer Toby Keith, who once called Trump a media whore. The incoming first family left behind Trump forcemen, arriving in the capital on a military plane and on to lunch at their own hotel.
Gorgeous woman. A total genius was the
Then pushed his reluctant First Lady into the spotlight.
Starting the work, I had a lot of responsibility.
So does he, as America's next Commander-in-Chief paused at the Arlington National Cemetery.
Even before Donald Trump is sworn in here tomorrow, he'll receive the most sobering briefing for any new president, America's nuclear codes. From then on, for the rest of his presidency, it will be followed by a military aide carrying the so-called nuclear football, all that's needed to launch a strike.
On the steps of the White House, an extraordinary transition began. Melania Trump came bearing a gift from Tiffany's before the relaxed Obamas posed for a final photo and escorted America's new order on a short but guarded drive to the halls of power.
Hello, everybody.
The reality TV star, still aware of every camera, gave a signature thumbs up, celebrating with the smaller than predicted crowd. And with a kiss for his dazzling First Lady, 70-year-old Donald Trump became the 45th and oldest President of the United States.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States. So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
In the drizzling rain, his first address was an assault on Washington.
January 20th, 2017 will be remembered as the day the people became the rulers of this nation again. We are transferring power from Washington, D.C. and giving it back to you.
In 17 minutes, he made it clear change starts now.
It's going to be only America first. America first.
The woman he bitterly defeated took a few deep breaths before listening to her once ruthless rival preach unity.
Black or brown or white, we all bleed the same red blood of patriots.
He promised to bring back jobs and keep America safe.
Radical Islamic terrorism, which we will eradicate completely from the face of the earth. I will fight for you with every breath of my body, and I will never, ever let you down.
With a pump of his fist, a new era began, and the old was happily ushered to a waiting flight out of Washington, D.C.
America's unconventional candidate, famous for theatrics and tweets, is now its unpredictable leader. President Trump takes the reins of a bitterly divided country and joins world leaders uncertain of what he'll do next.
Together we will determine the course of America and the world for many, many years to come. This American carnage stops right here and stops right now.